So this week we're helping a client do a construction loan on a block of land they own. And construction lending works quite differently to your standard home loan. And so it's a conversation we have a lot of times with clients explaining how it works. So for most clients, they'll typically buy a block of land and they'll have a normal home loan on that land. So let's say you buy a block of land for $1 million, you get an 80% loan, so you have an $800,000 loan on that property, and that's a standard 30-year principal and interest or interest-only loan that you make your normal repayments on. You'll typically then have a separate split for the build because the construction portion of the loan usually works a little bit differently. Now, you can combine this all into one, but we find that for most people, they do it in the two splits. With the construction loan, let's say, as an example, your build is $1.25 million and you're borrowing $1 million for the build, so you're putting money yourself. The first thing to note is that your money needs to go in first. So if you're borrowing $1.25 million and the build price is $1.25 million and the bank is putting in $1 million, your $250,000 goes in first. So your entire funds will go in to cover the first one or two stages. And after you've covered your portion of the deposit, the bank will then chip in. Now, obviously, if you're borrowing 90%, the first 10% is you. If you're borrowing 95%, the first 5% is you. But the point remains that your money needs to go in first, and the bank will only start making payments towards the builder once you've contributed your agreed upon amount. The second thing to note is that unlike the land loan or a normal home loan, where the initial loan is say $800,000, day one you've got an $800,000 loan. In this instance, where we've got a $1 million build, that loan, or $1 million loan on a $1.25 million build, that gets paid in tranches to the builder. Now, a standard progress payment example is 5% paid at deposit, 10% paid when the base is done, 15% done when the frame is put up, 35% at lockup, 25% at fixing, and 10% when everything's finished. And so what would typically happen, logistically speaking, is at base, deposit, and part of the frame, you would pay this yourself, so you would make the payments to the builder. And so even though you've got a $1 million build loan, you might be a third of the way through the build and the bank hasn't released any funds yet to the builder, and therefore you're not accruing any interest on this loan. Once you start drawing down the funds, the bank might pay $100,000 at the frame stage, for example. You'll now have a $100,000 interest-only loan that you're paying interest on and a limit for the remaining funds. And so you only pay interest on the funds as they're utilized, and the bank utilizes their funds after you've contributed your portion.